Welcome to Behind the Booking, an interview series where I, Josh Wade, sit down with entertainment industry professionals to uncover the business behind the bookings. Brought to you by the Booked Up app and the Booked Up Believers community, helping actors stay booked up without working a 9 to 5. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. He is a seasoned voiceover artist and a voiceover instructor at Clayton State University with over 30 years of experience in the entertainment industry. His impressive credits include serving as the national voice for Hillshire Farm in 2017, winning the International Animated Film Association Southeast Voiceover Contest in 2019, and being the announcer for Morehouse School of Medicine's 50th anniversary celebration. Please welcome the incomparable Cosmo Miller.
Yeah,
What's up, man?
I actually imagine some applause coming in from somewhere. Thank you for that great intro.
Thank you, man. So I like to start off each interview by asking the question, how did you break into the voiceover industry and what helped you land your first few jobs?
Okay, what helped me break it? How did I break into the voiceover industry? Let's see. I was a theater major in college.
Okay.
And so right around I graduated in the mid 90s. And I always liked the trailer voices. In a world, one man, one mission. All those crazy, exaggerated announcer voices, two cops, one gun. Man, you imitate these guys.
Yeah.
And then probably about around 1999, I was invited by a cousin of mine who was running a marketing campaign for Sprite. And he says, all I need you to do is join the union.
Which union were they talking about?
This was before it merged with SAG.
Wow. Okay, keep going.
I wasn't seeing the vision at the time, right?
Okay.
Pay the money, join the union, $1,000, do the commercial. Wasn't seeing the vision. Bigger lesson there is what? Not even the Sprite commercial. The bigger lesson was what? Getting grandfathered into now something that costs 3.5 times as much to join.
Wow, wow. Okay, so we talking about the union. Okay, keep going.
This is late 90s. So fast forward to like 2004, where I took a local voiceover class here. And the coach had told me, a guy by the name of Paul Armbruster, he's still the voice of the Atlanta airport. And he came out here from LA years ago and became the king of voiceover in Atlanta. And he said, hey, out of all the folks in the class, only 2 of you guys are ready to go do industry work. You're one of them.
Wow, wow. Simple as that, huh?
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Well, for the okey doke again. Well, what do I need to do next? Well, you need to record a voiceover demo. How much does that cost? Oh, about $1,000.
Wow. Okay, okay.
So I had not really learned at that point that voiceover was a business that you have to invest in. Okay.
Mhm.
Just like anybody, right? You want to start a paint store, you have to invest in that. You want to start a baseball park, you want to build a sports facility, costs money. It has to be invested in. And so what I realized is that I had to invest in myself with the guy telling me right there, you're ready to go to work. The demo produced.
So, what are the materials of a voiceover artist? I know you're talking about the voiceover demo. Like, what are all the materials?
Well, the materials really are the first thing, understanding what this is. It's not walking to a microphone and getting a check. There are a bunch of steps in between all of that. And that's what I had to come and recognize and realize myself. And when I did and started to act more on that and do more workshops and then decided to take the real plunge, I said, you know what? I'm not only going to get that demo done, I'm going to take myself and put myself in an immersive market. So right around the time of 08, 09, I decided to move to Los Angeles just to do voiceover.
Really? Okay. So, what
'Cause
it look like moving to Los Angeles to do voiceover work? Like, where are you going to do voice? You know what I mean? Like, what does that look like?
Well, what it looks like is a market that already has an infrastructure for you. So I've already got coaching opportunities. There are coaches everywhere. You know, you've got practice sessions and different types of groups that you can join everywhere. A lot of them are set up in the studios. They're set up in the agencies. So at one point in time, I could go to a support group, some type of agency presentation workshop. You could do that 5 days a week.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm. That's how the studios and the agents made extra money. You know, we've got this director, person so and so. He's going to be appearing next week in a workshop about animation. $100. You know, and you get about 20, 30 people in there paid $100. They get to work with that agent, especially if they get a high profile person. For example, I once worked with the head of the promotions department for NBC. You see what I'm saying? You know, she had come to my school. So I actually enrolled in voiceover university once I moved to LA. It's called the Dick Orkin Radio Ranch. And it was set up like a university system.
Okay.
Animation 101, 102, commercial 101, 102, narration 101, 102.
So how did you even find out about, and tell me the name again?
It was called Dick Orkin's Radio Ranch
Dick.
out there in North Hollywood.
Okay. So how'd you even find out about this voiceover
Research.
university?
Just research, going online, research, looking up classes, things like that. I knew I was going to need to train. I knew I was going to need coaches. And being an actor, a screen actor,
Yeah.
you know, it's a bunch of things you have to learn how to do. You have to learn how to read on camera. You know how you have to learn certain moves, sequences, things like that, that they expect you to know as an actor when you're walking into these auditions. Works
Wow.
the same way with voiceover.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So what's kept you consistently working over the years in such a competitive field?
Marketing. Marketing. And, you know, for a long time, I was in experiential marketing. That was my career for quite a bit of time before I really started to shift and focus on voiceover. So the 10 to 12 years prior to moving to LA, I was in LA a lot because of marketing events. So I took a lot of those principles and applied it to voiceover. What could I do to, oh man, let me create some content. Let me go to these businesses over here. Oftentimes, voice actors or actors in general are led to believe that you're only going to get work from your agent. But as voiceover, we can go anywhere. We can go to any business. It's as long as you're buying or some radio time, some ad space somewhere, or you're using your social media, then you need a voice.
So when you're doing your research, how do you find, or where exactly do you go to find people that are looking for voiceover artists for you to even have that conversation with them?
Well, there are quite a few pay to play platforms which have just kind of been, I'm just going to be honest. They're great places to kind of engage clients and to do work and to kind of get into a business world contact. But I've heard a lot of negative manipulation behind these pay to play sites where you pay a membership fee to have access to a variety of auditions. One of the problems was several of these big sites, I don't want to call their names for legal reasons, things of that nature. They've had issues with algorithm manipulation. I'll say certain people booking too much.
Okay. So I mean, have you, in your experience, have you noticed that any of them work at all?
Well, I hear people do get paid. I hear a lot of people say that they don't really get too much work off of these sites. And I joined one of these sites. I tried it about a decade ago, and it shows you whether your audition is heard. And the problem was a lot of people weren't hearing the auditions.
Really?
So what happens is, I'm gonna tell you the difference between an amateur or regular everyday corporate private client casting person that has to do casting for their project and an actual voiceover casting agent. Okay. The difference between the corporate person and the agent and the voiceover agent, the casting agent, is this person wants to get this project done. I don't have time to listen to all of these voices all day.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not one of these voiceover people. He sounds cool. This person comes into their office saying, boy, I hope I got at least 200 auditions to listen to today. Got to find that voice.
Got it. And you don't know who's behind the audition, or who's behind the audition, right?
All right.
Okay, keep going.
I listen. Hey, I like the way that person is lifting those lines up. I like the way that person is coloring words.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I like the way this person is telling the brand story. See, those people are winding up in the keep stack. Want me?
Okay.
And in a seasoned ear on this end only needs to hear a few words in a few seconds. 10, 15, 17 seconds. They know what, okay, this person's got it, they don't have it. Or this person is good, but they haven't embraced this copy. Yeah, not going to work. Again, this producer over here, I've got a bunch of emails, I've got data this, I've got blah, 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 blah. Yeah, this person sounds fine. Oftentimes they think of demographics.
Okay.
They're looking for a female voice that sounds between this age and da-da-da and da-da-da. Okay. And they're not really thinking about, wow, is this person really sound like they know what they're talking about? I'm
Wow.
doing a video abstract on CRISPR. How many voiceover artists really know about genome sequencing, right?
Genome sequence. I mean, can you break that down? I guess just for a beginner to understand, what does that mean?
So this is one of your greatest duties in voiceover. There are all kinds of applications for voiceover everywhere. So take for that example, right? That's crazy, right? Like how many people know about gene work, right? Gene science, right? Average person does not. But here's a client that has a video series, right? Some training modules perhaps, right? For other scientists to learn about CRISPR and this advanced genetic science, right? Well, they want to make a video series of videos to help training easier, make training easier to go along with illustrations. So they need a voice.
Makes sense.
People can hear if you don't know what you're talking about. Well, my God, Cosmo, what do I have to do? Go study gene sciences, gene therapy? Yes, you do. You need to go to YouTube. You need to look up CRISPR. You need to sit down, get a general understanding of what it is, how it works. It takes 12, 15 minutes, 18 minutes, and it's worth the work if that company is going to pay $3,000, $3,500, $4,000 for you to do several 2-minute videos.
Wow. So if we go back to when you were saying how you were basically marketing yourself,
Mm.
what approach did you take to marketing yourself, to receive more jobs?
Well, it's really about what you've done first. So that's really the uphill battle. As I started to reach out and market myself, I already had a few jobs under my belt. See, by the time I got to LA and got serious and was ready to get that demo, when I hit and landed the ground, boom, it was just by the luck of the stars that I had landed my first job with Caterpillar Trucks just 2 weeks after recording that demo.
Wow. So, okay. So
So,
and you said you had already done jobs before. How
mhm,
did you get those jobs before? Like what exact, you
the
know,
calling card is the demo. You say, how do you market yourself? And it's having a demo. That's your calling card, you know?
what did you know that works inside of a demo, or that has been, helpful? Like what can people do inside their demo to make it a good demo?
To get it directed, for one. A lot of people don't want to pay the extra money to hire a director. It costs a couple of $100 extra, but it's worth it. And you do sound a lot better. You got a person outside of you saying, okay, cut, that sounds good, but let's do this, that, and the other. That line could work a lot better if you would say it with a little more warning to it.
Mhm.
I wasn't really feeling the intensity behind this particular message, and this is an urgent piece of copy. I need to see you gripping your hands while you're reading. I need to see intensity in your body while you're at the mic. People that can remind you to use your body at the mic,
Oh, so
use your face at the mic.
are you hiring, voiceover coaches as your director for your demo reel? Is that where you're finding the directors?
Sure, coaches can direct you, casting directors can direct you, other talent that you know that are established in the game can direct you.
Mhm. Wow. Getting someone to direct your voiceover reel definitely makes a difference.
And I've had a couple of students who were a little too trigger happy. I told them that they needed more time,
Mhm.
you know. I told them that they needed more practice, they needed more work. They weren't ready to do a demo. The problem is a lot of people think, I want to get into voiceover. Let me go get a demo made.
Kendrick run they're off camera, okay.
Hold on. Let's pump the brakes
Yeah.
because that's not what it's about. I want to get into voiceover. I need to find a coach or a class, a workshop. to get assessed by a professional to see what it takes. For example, teaching at Clayton State University. I remember a fall semester back in 22. We're all getting, it's the first day of class and everyone's talking about introducing themselves and talking about why they're here and what they know about voiceover and their aspirations, etc. And one lady, I open up for questions, and one lady says, "So Cosmo, when am I going to start making money in this?" Can a recording artist answer that question? Who does music? Can an actor answer that question?
And
Can an athlete answer that question? Right?
once you put the work and the time in, it just takes a second sometimes.
You got to get somewhere and do something.
Mhm.
You got to get somewhere and you got to do something first. Listen, everything I say, there's an exception to every rule and circumstance.
Yeah.
There are miracle discoveries. There are miracle ways in, you know. My uncle was head of Coca-Cola marketing. So he said, "Come down and I like your voice and I want you to record our videos." And next thing you know, because I had Coca-Cola under my belt, I said, I'm just making up any kind of voiceover scenario that can happen. Any number of things can happen in that line of work. So it's just about being present, marketing, getting yourself discovered, making yourself a brand,
Okay. Okay.
having colors, having a logo, all your business. And you have to stand out in a bunch of different ways.
So what is one career move that you made that significantly helped you find more or better work?
Looking to pivot work in other industry areas that supported voiceover. So instead of being, right, instead of being an experiential marketing tour manager, right, operate setting up the event, managing the crews, training the brand ambassadors, we cut all that out.
That's good.
And then we started applying for positions like the marketing tour MC, the guy that comes and says all the hype on the microphone. So I was able to flip that career from a tour manager to a tour MC. So now I'm emceeing for State Farm, for the Army, and different festivals like that. What else? I've done stuff for Coca-Cola. I've done stuff for Coke Zero as well, worked some of their tours and things of that nature. Verizon Wireless. So I've been booked for a lot of things like the Bank of America. I used to do the Chicago Marathon with those guys every year. So a lot of that work then what?
Crazy.
Supports voiceover,
Yeah.
advertising. Now I'm at this expo, this festival, and then this is what happens. I get booked by IBM one day about 7 or 8 years ago, and the lady comes to me at the end of the day, "Cosmo, can we hire you to do voiceover? I need some stuff to be done, the blah, 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 and this, that, and the other." And I called someone, they never got back to me, or, blah, 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 or what did she say? "We paid this person $10,000 and you sound way better than him."
Wow. Wow. So it definitely took your creativity to say, okay, how can I, like you said, pivot and branch out and also do more things that are in the industry, but surrounded by voiceover work? Still being intentional about that part.
Yes. Yes. So, for example, several of my students are older professional students. Oh, by the way, that IBM job, uh, I got a lot of compliments from some of the presenters because they said, "Wow, I was listening to you talking about the things that were going on in our workshop. And are you in the industry as well? Do you work with AI? Do you work with so and so?" So, no, I don't. I knew I had this job with IBM this week, so I looked at a bunch of computer stuff. Started looking at a bunch of technological terminology and understanding how these different platforms work and communication and talk with each other and algorithms and blah blah blah, just to sound familiar. That's it. I
Yeah.
had an audition for a pilot for the History Channel. This was a military show that was supposed to be aired on the History Channel, and the client said, "Okay, this guy, if the show gets sold, this guy is our voice." They picked my demo out, and they said, "Hey, this is our voice." Oh, by the way, on a side note, the majority of my jobs are pickouts. Someone has heard the demo, said, "That's our voice. That's the guy. Let's just see if he can read the stuff." So I get a lot of jobs like that. So I went into the studio, auditioned. Well, actually, again, this was a pick out, what an audition. So I went into the studio. The cut this material, and this was about military sniper science. By the time I finish reading this stuff, what does the client say to me when he comes across the mic? Are you ex-military?
Because you do that much research to understand how it's being said, what's being said, even the you know, for lack of a better word, the colloquialisms and stuff like that, so you understand, so you know what they're talking about. How how would you say? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So no, so that was the whole point. The very stuff that they were producing, that material that they were producing, I just watched other stuff like that the couple of nights before. You see what I mean? I watched stuff about sniping. I mean, we all understand what sniping is, long distance shooting with on tracking a target. But it's a whole science to it. You know, the wind and all of that, being able to, you know, camouflage yourself, your vision, being able to watch. I watched some story about one sniper who tracked another one for 3 days and was able to take him out because he saw the sun just twinkle off his scope. And so
Wow.
you take this little bit of research and these stories, and then when you walk in and you got this script and they're talking about the hide and they're talking about camouflaging and they're talking all, you automatically sound familiar. That was the first thing the client said before he even said, "Great job, I love it."
You sound.
Are you ex-military?
Yeah.
And you want your clients to make you think that.
This is good. This is really good. So what booking strategies have changed the most since when you first started, if any?
What booking strategies? You know, the funny thing is it's hard to put the word strategy together with booking for me. I'm having a problem processing those things because really the strategy is just to get the audition in as soon as you possibly can.
Okay.
You know, when it comes in from the agency and they say it's due Tuesday and it's Thursday, send it in on Thursday. You see, a lot of people don't understand the back end process of agents and auditions. Remember, when client X sends out that job, they're not just sending it to the Mickey Mouse agency and the Donald Duck agency. They're also sending it to the Spider-Man agency as well, because they want to get a variety of voices. And all of these agencies, they want to get the artist booked. They want one of their artists to get booked. They want to get in front of this client. Hopefully, they'll have an audition that their talents have turned in. And hopefully, agency X will say, "Hey, Spider-Man agency, your so-and-so guy was awesome." Okay, great. Now we're on this client's radar. They may come back to us again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why a lot of agencies, when they submit work, they're submitting work that is based on what the client has asked for, not what they think, who they think are our top. These are our top guys, our top booking people. These are the top booking women at our agency. No. If the client has asked you for a specific age demographic and a sound or a particular accent, you send them the closest thing that you have to that, not the top earners. That top earner could be a completely different style of what they're looking for.
Oh, that makes
That's what they're looking for. And so that's why some clients will go to multiple agencies when they have a job.
so. Well, speaking of agencies, you have an agent. Do you also have a manager as well?
I don't have a manager as of yet. I have been looking back into manager. COVID really kind of rocked my MC work. Experiential marketing went away completely with COVID. It's making its way back. People are starting to hire more MCs now in recent years. And so I've actually sent my stuff to several agencies in New York and LA to do, you know, personality management, talent management, things of that nature. Absolutely. Because again, looking for more avenues to support and advertise voiceover.
So the agent that you have now, with that agent, and how did you even get this agent? Want to see the full interview? You can watch the entire conversation by subscribing inside of the Booked Up app. And if you're not a part of the Booked Up Believers community and you are ready to learn how actors stay booked up without working a 9 to 5, just download the Booked Up app and sign up for the Actors and 9 to 5 Breakup course. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Behind the Booking.